Kalkalosh Boker or Mishna Yomi Masechet Metzia Perek Daled, the fourth chapter. We are Mishna Aleph and Bet, number 1 and 2. Hazahav kone et hakesef, ve'hakesef eno kone et hazahav. If you're right now, you've got gold coins, so they're going to be traded for silver coins. So taking the gold coins causes the other person to acquire the silver coins. You're doing like a chalipin, right? You're doing an exchange, right? Which is called chalipin. But the kesef is not going to acquire the zahav. He says, why? But since the silver coins are considered the money in this exchange, taking money for an item does not complete the sale. Hanechoshet konet kesef. Copper will acquire the silver coins. Why? Because the copper coins are considered the object being bought, so the kinyan on them completes the sale. But the kesef, the silver, does not acquire the copper, because again, the silver coins are considered money in this exchange. Ma'ot haraot konot et hayafot. If you have bad coins, the bad coins can come and could acquire the good coins. Why? Because the bad coins are considered the object being bought, and the good ones are not acquiring the bad ones. A simon is going to acquire the matbea, going to acquire the minted coin. So an unminted coin to a minted coin. But the minted coin is not going to acquire the unminted coin. Okay, so again, these are all the different. Which means like this. If you guys remember, the way the structure of this Mishnah is, the structure of this Mishnah goes as follows. What's happening is that when you buy metaltalin, there has to be a kinyan done. Paying is not enough. So now the question is here, I'm buying something, but they're both metaltalin. So what's considered, what are you buying? I've got gold, you've got silver. It's metaltalin. When is it considered that I'm buying? Who's buying what? So therefore, every part of this Mishnah was talking about that what parts are you buying? So the zahav is konet kesef. Why? Because again, here the zahav is going to be the gold coins that causes you to acquire the silver coins. Right? That's what it says here. The sale is final, and the buyer must now pay for the number of the silver coins they agreed upon. But the kesef is not going to be koneh the zahav. Why? Because he says at the end of the day, the silver coins are considered the money. So since the silver coins are considered money, you're not acquiring anything, because at the end of the day, when you pay for something, it's still not yours until you do a kinyan. The gold to the silver, you're doing the kinyan, but not the other way around. And that's, by the way, was every single thing in our Mishnah. Metaltalin konim et karka. So the metaltalin is going to acquire the karka as well. But the matbea is not going to be koneh the metaltalin. Because again, paying for something, which that's a matbea, is not koneh metaltalin. You have to actually come and actually ze'akelal kol metaltalin konim ze et ze. All movable objects acquire one another. That is, as one person takes one of the objects, the other person acquires the other object, and the deal becomes final. That's called chalipin. Chalipin is basically an exchange, right? And that's what it's taking effect, as one of the objects is acquired by the other person, as we already explained. Mishnah Bet says, okay, so Ketzad, how does this work exactly? How does this work exactly? So he says like this: Mashach emenu perot velo natan etomot. Imagine right now, I drew the produce, but I did not give the money. So I did a kinyan, I did meshicha, I drew it forth, but I didn't pay. He can't retract. Why? Because even though he didn't pay, he made a kinyan. But what happens if you did the opposite? What happens if you do the opposite? Which means that you gave the money, but you didn't do the meshicha. But you could retract. Why? Because the giving of the money is not a kinyan. The kinyan is the meshicha, not the giving of the money. Right? Next, aval amru, but they did say mishepara. What's a mishepara? Mishepara is mianshe dor mabul medor palaga. Right? He says, flaga. He says, huatili para misheno mebdibro. There's a concept of misheno, which means like this: I came and I gave you money, and all of a sudden now you want to retract. Now, technically speaking, there was no kinyan, so if there's no kinyan, I can retract. But the fact that you're not standing by your word, that's called shemisheno omer al diburo. You're not standing on your word. There's a concept of mishepara. Whoever paid, right, the people of the Dora Mabul and Dora Palaga, they're the ones that are going to come, right, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will pay them back as well. Which means there's a concept of mishepara. Mishepara means stick to your words. There's a whole question, why is it dafka, right, these people? But fine, okay? Now it says over here like this. He says, Shimon says, whoever has the money in his hand, he always has the upper hand. He says, because he could back out of the sale, but not the buyer. Okay, in such a case. Okay? Fine, we continue.